Welcome to Road to the Draft, presented by Raymond James. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith, and we do this every year where we are going to tell you all of the potential things that could happen in the draft, all the things happening with the team that might affect it. This is our first one of the year, but we'll be doing it every week, and so now the Combine has just happened a week ago, but of course there's also been a lot of news within the Buccaneers organization that could affect things as well. Ali Marpet retires, Chris Godwin gets franchise tagged, so looking at those two things in particular, those are two incredibly important pieces to this team. So losing one, knowing you'll have another, what do you think that does to the team's draft priorities?
Yeah, this is our first stop on this journey this year, but this road has already had a bunch of turns in it. And the one that is probably the most difficult to navigate because we didn't expect it was Ali Marpet's retirement. But that probably does quite a bit affect the Bucs draft strategy, maybe even in the first round. And actually, Jason Light acknowledged that at the Combine. So it affects the strategy because you have to couple the fact that Ali Marpet has retired with the fact that Ryan Jensen, your starting center, and Alex Kappa, your starting right guard, are also both pending unrestricted free agents, as is a good backup who could step up to be a starter in Aaron Stinney. So it's pretty hard to say that that isn't a priority for the Buccaneers when you're talking about the possibility of having to replace all three of your interior line starters from what was a very good line. And both Bruce Arians and Jason Light made it clear at the Combine that offensive line, maintaining a strong offensive line is a big team priority. And to that effect, when I did my most recent mock draft on Buccaneers.com this week, I actually ended up choosing for the Buccaneers at pick number 27, Boston College guard Zion Johnson. Now, Zion had a very nice performance at the Combine, was good in the drills, showed good agility, good short area quickness. There's a lot to like about him, and he seems to be moving up the boards a little bit earlier in this mock draft process. You know, people have been mock drafting for months now.
Yeah, of course.
He wasn't necessarily considered a first-round pick, but I think he's worked his way into the first round. And actually, as the weeks go by and as we continue on this road, we may find out that he won't even make it to pick number 27. But at the moment, that's the way the draft fell for me, and I think the Buccaneers could really do much worse than taking a guy who had a really nice career, is versatile on the interior line, and I think you could probably plug and play him as a starter from day one, just like you did with Ali Marpet 7 years ago.
Interesting. And so now Chris Godwin, we know he will be back,
Yeah.
So kind of the opposite situation where you are fortunate that you are not as desperate potentially to pick a wide receiver, that you know you're going to have Chris, you know you're going to have Mike Evans, but what do you think knowing that Chris Godwin will be back will do to what they might do in the draft?
Yeah, obviously that makes receiver a little bit less of a, I wouldn't say panic, but something you really had to address early if you were losing Chris Godwin. You still have the Mike Evans-Chris Godwin combination now, which is a great place to start. But I think we've seen over the last couple of years that when this offense was really dynamic is when you had another dangerous third receiver. So I would not take receiver off the Bucs list of top needs in the draft, and especially because it's a good draft for receivers. And honestly, the way the NCAA is going, the way football is going, we seem to be getting a good draft for receivers almost every year. So it's a position you can reload at a lot of times. And I could see the Buccaneers taking a receiver in the first round. And when you look at the order that these guys are going in a lot of mock drafts, last week I did a mock draft that was just Buccaneers picks, like all what we do first, second, third. And in that one, Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave did drop to the Buccaneers at 27, and I decided to jump on him because I think he's a great route runner. He's already a polished guy. Think about how much when Chris Godwin came into this building as a third-round pick, and everybody's like, this guy does it all. He's mature, he's polished, he does everything right. That's a lot of what Chris Olave is. And then at the Combine, he went and ran a 4.39 40-yard dash, which was basically even with his teammate Garrett Wilson for the best. There was a lot of fast receivers and some who ran faster, but among those who have widely been projected to go in the first round, those two guys were the fastest ones. So that was a good Combine for Chris Olave, and then he went and did the receiver drills and did exactly what everybody expected, really showing off what a great route runner he is and just great hands, really just a polished receiver. One other receiver, though, I would like to mention, because you know, when you talk about the road to the draft and guys' stocks going up and down, there's a guy from Arkansas named Treylon Burks, a big dude, but also pretty fast. But at the Combine, he ran what a lot of people considered a disappointing 4.55 40-yard dash. Now, I think people need to temper their expectations because this guy is 6'2". Look at him. He's well built. This guy's 6'2", like 215, 220 pounds. So running a 4.55 at that size is very, very good. You know what I'm saying? Like Chris Olave, we were just talking about him. He's 6'0" and about 187 pounds.
Right.
If you can run
Apples
a 4,
and oranges,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I mean, it's great that he's 4.39, but 4.55 for this guy is great too. But if some teams don't like that 40-yard dash, and maybe he slips down the board a little bit, that's how guys could conceivably be there later in the first round. Honestly, by the time we get to the draft, I don't think Treylon Burks is going to be projected to go as low as 27, but maybe there's a possibility.
Yeah, you never know. Things always end up happening weird in that first round every year. All right, well, that is going to do it for us on this first edition of Road to the Draft, brought to you by Raymond James. We'll see you next week.